Mr. President, my concern and what has kept me up the last night or two has been that today is not Saturday. Today we have a stock market that is down about 28%. We have colleges and universities, mostly ours, but also privates, that are shutting down. The Fed, including the Richmond Fed, has told us there are some concerns. Those concerns relate to, and get to what they are, travel, tourism, retail, and manufacturing. If you were going to describe Virginia, you would describe them in just those ways. Mr. President, I am concerned. Some of you in this body serve on the Gaker Commission. And if you were there with some of us, and I know many of you were, you heard the business experts around talking about whether or not we would have a business environment going forward that either would be neutral or slightly positive. Some were on the extremely positive, most were in the neutral to slightly positive. No one at that meeting talked about there being a true bear market. No one talked about the fact that we would potentially have to have economic stimulus from both the Fed and also have the economic stimulus from the federal government. Mr. President, I know that the coronavirus by some, and maybe even some on my party, has been looked on as something that maybe had a political overtone. That maybe somehow this was going to be linked to the president. Mr. President, I don't believe that this virus has anything to do with Republicans or Democrats, House members, Senate members, but I will tell you this. I believe it's going to have an economic impact on our Commonwealth. Mr. President, that's why today I was hoping, and I think there have been progress. The senator from Northern Fairfax has talked about other options, but I came here today to think about maybe putting a pause for a week, maybe even 10 days. And why would we do that? We would do that for three basic reasons. One, ladies and gentlemen, VRS estimates are wrong. The budget numbers in here on what's going to happen to VRS is wrong. They're not going to happen this way. We know that today. Number two, we know that local governments are going to be hit. And if we act today, what's in the budget will be what is sent out to local governments throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. Now, the governor can make adjustments, and I've talked to the gentlelady from Northern Fairfax, and I believe she has great impact with the governor. The concern I have is that the Finance Committee looked at the governor's budget. We accepted some. We rejected a lot. We made it much, much better. And in a few minutes, we're going to turn Senate Bill 29 potentially over to the governor to have him ferret out what is good and what is not good. I believe that budgeting is about priorities, Mr. President, and I believe that if we have an opportunity to pause, this is what we could do. We could go into this budget with the best staff on this campus, and we could put in at the first $500 million, this is what are our priorities. If we're hit by another $500 million, here's where our priorities are. If we're hit by another $500 million, and I'm concerned it could be somewhere between $1.5 and $3 billion, this is how we would like to react. Mr. President, we went into the education budget. We tried to give as much flexibility as we can, but this budget, as goes out, has mandated spending for localities, for counselors. I supported the counselor bill. I supported it when we ended up putting it forward. But there are hires that have to take place based on what we do here unless we rely on another body somewhere else to change it. The English language individuals have got to change. There is other non-flexibility money in this. Mr. President, there is also in this budget strong directions to our colleges. The same colleges that shut down yesterday, today, and some for the rest of the semester are going to be told exactly what they have to do with much of their money. If we were given the opportunity to give them flexibility, would we do it today? I would hope that we would, and I think with a pause we possibly could do that. Mr. President, when you look at HHR, I think the senator from the Senator Hanger did a remarkable job with our team. That budget looks a lot more like us than it does the body down the hall. There are many items I like about it, and in general, I like much of the conference committee report. However, would we do the same things with TANF that we're doing today if we thought there was an economic downturn coming? And I would tell you, I don't believe we would. I believe if we thought there was potential of a downturn, if we thought that the nearly one-third sell-off on the market was going to have an effect, we probably would save TANF for a number of other items. Mr. President, built into this budget, just to let you know, is a lot of new FTEs. It's probably the one part of the budget that I didn't like as much, but we're creating a lot of new state jobs. I get some of the reasons why and why not, but the question is if the governor doesn't act quick enough, we're going to hire people only to potentially need to let them go. Mr. President, I believe that the budget is based on reasonably strong growth, and I think that that growth was there. I do not necessarily believe that that growth will necessarily sustain itself, at least in the last part of 29 and the first year of 30. If we determined that we were going to put a pause on the budget, I do believe we could save in 29 tens of millions of dollars of contingency funding that we are not going to be able to do if we vote for this particular conference committee report. And in 30, I believe that the second year in 30 is probably solid. I believe that we're probably in a good place with that. But I think that if we do not vote no on this particular conference committee report, we won't get to the opportunity for the senator from Northern Fairfax to give leadership on how we're to go into a potential second committee of conference that could reflect our values and our priorities.